not 2.
Okay.
Huh? Have you seen
And
it
the next
properly now?
class is on October 4th.
October 3rd is there now, already unordered list. 5th, 6th, 7th.
Okay. I
What
thought we
else?
were missing a note on September 30th. But okay, if you say it is the same thing as basic elements, okay.
No, no, not just clarity I want is, so all the topics are there now. Any topic is missing, so that I can upload it. You are following continuously our sessions, huh?
Yeah, I'm following, sir. But I
Uh,
don't know if any
all,
topic is
all the
missing.
topics are there, right? Uploaded
Most,
everything.
mostly yes, but I'm looking at only the dates on the content.
So you can just verify, because sometimes what happens is, on one day we just theoretically discussed some points, and second day we practically done, both are uploaded on that day,
Okay.
right? So that generally happens if you look at notes after 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
you will feel this confusion if you see immediately, because you are the only person came with the complaint that notes is missing for topic out of
Ah,
100 people.
This one I
This
reported on that day also, and you
Konjiro.
updated it, I think.
I updated immediately, I think. Am I right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Am I right? I updated immediately and I changed the notes. I hope everyone others also got the same, right?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Uh, Once go through,
Okay.
once go through, properly see the topics and the notes, then you can get a clarity. Right? Because if any topic is missed, we updated it immediately. Everything is fine, but he is unable to find that notes. That's the reason we have to show him, right? It's fine. Okay. Let's continue. Right. So last session we discussed about the basic about styles, and in the styles we learned about, yeah, in how many ways we can configure the styles: inline styles, embedded styles, and external style sheets. What is minification? What is the MIME type of styles? All these points we learned. What is CDN and how do we use them? One more frequently asked question here is, usually another regular question is, generally while working with CSS, the regular point is the media type for styles. So another frequently asked question is, what is media? What is media type for styles? Media type for styles. Actually, media type is nothing but media types describe the general category of where you want to target your styles actually. So that means actual concept of media type is nothing but media usually. So media specifies the styles target, which can be for print, which can be for print or a screen or for speech. So that means actually when you are designing some effects, generally what happens is on screen you may watch several things, but which is not possible on printing. Suppose there is a banner, in that banner some millions of colors are used. Millions of colors are used. Screen can show millions of colors, but printer cannot print all the millions of colors. So that means actually media type is nothing but print in a different way. These kind of concepts are very regular, very regular. So then how you can design content for different media types actually. So that you can do by using media. So media is an attribute, use it to configure styles, targeting different 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 sources like printer, like screen, so like audio out, etc. That's all actually speech is. So you can configure media attribute. You can configure media attribute for generally you can configure the media attribute for style or link element. You can configure the media attribute for style or link element. Generally, we can do that. So here, the configuring of media is to target different devices. Let's see how we can do that, how we can target and how we can manage that. Generally, the media requires an attribute, and you can use this attribute in link tag or you can use in the style tag. And usually media values can be all, can be like print, can be like screen, can be like speech. All these are the options. So these effects are applied only when the page is used for specific media. That means you can configure effects, so which will work for specific media, which will work for specific media. So how you do that, how you configure that? So let's see. For example, one simple page we are creating. So we are configuring the page. Let's add a page in our project. Right. Yeah, let's add one page here. So we are adding a page, some media demo.html, and here we are defining some attributes. So for style, first write a document here, and HTML and head section. Okay. And in body, we just keep some content heading as some Amazon shopping, something like this. Okay. And we need to print this heading. And we need to define this heading in two different ways. Visually in one style and for another option. For example, see here, I'm writing a style. And in the style, I defined body, and wherever body is there, so we have a border as 2 pixel, so solid, and some dark cyan, something, and padding is 20 pixel, and we configured this for the body section. So body section, and we are defining heading have border as suppose 1 pixel, solid and red. Okay, so it is having box shadow, some 2 pixel, 3 pixel and 4 pixel red box shadow. We are configuring it. This is heading style, and the body style we have. It can have a lot of effects. So text align I given as center, basic. I'm defining like this. Usually you can see that. So padding is 10 pixel. In the appearance, you can see it is going to display the values in this way. In the appearance, it is going to display the values in this way. On the screen, it is going to present it in this way. Actually, we have heading 1, right? Okay, heading 1, it gets these effects and display the effects. Now, generally, when it goes for printing, I don't want these effects. I don't want these effects because printing may disturb the colors and effects and shadows like things we don't want. We want to print plain. Then what you can do is, so we can keep the style type as text CSS, that is the MIME type, and we can write the media as print. Media value can be defined as print. Value as print. So it can define the media value as print. That means now you can observe when media is print, in the output you can see that it is plain. In the output it is plain. Why? Because you targeted print. That means these effects will apply only in printing mode while you are printing. Suppose I say screen, that means it will be only for the screen. On the screen it is displaying. Let's open printer properties. I will use Control P and I am opening printer properties. And in printer, while printing, you see the preview. You don't have those borders, colors, effects and all. We can write different media targets actually. Suppose if you are, this is for screen. I will copy the same style here. And I am targeting for the print. When it comes to print, I don't want any border. So I don't want any heading box shadows and all. And I will just put heading with a plain border. That means now in the screen, it will be like this. While when I go to print, you can see that in the print, its appearance is plain. Now you don't have a shadow. We don't have shadow. So we don't have the border, body border. We don't have body border. We don't have shadow. But it is available on the screen. On the screen, it is displayed. On the screen, it is configured and shown. So that means we can target different device. Later, we will learn about some other options. So you will learn about media in a different way. That means we can target for different devices also. Like if you are watching on a tab, so how to display. If you are watching on a tab in a portrait mode or a landscape mode, how to display, how we can change. That is a different point. So that also comes under the concept of CSS, but that is media queries we call them as. This is not media query. This is just a media attribute. So don't get confused with that point. So in CSS, we have media queries. And in CSS, we have media attribute. Currently, we are discussing about the media attribute. We are discussing about the media attribute. Not the media queries. Media queries are different. So, and you will learn later how to deal with the media queries. Currently, media attribute can have only these three values you can define. Actually, we have a print and we have a screen and we also have speech. Speech is for accessibility options. That means you know that our screen have an accessibility option in Windows. It reads aloud the screen contents and it will get that aloud. But if it is having effects, animations, then it will feel difficulty in reading aloud with those effects and animations. Due to that, what we do is, so we will target if anybody is trying to use that speech output, then we will put a simple plain effects. So without any effects, we will keep them plain so that it is easy for the speech tool to use those to read the paragraphs aloud and so that user can listen to them. That is the basic medium, right? Because speech is related to accessibility options. You know that
setup
screen
potso
have a
होता ना
narrator, right? That narrator
setup
will
potso
narrate
होता
screen, what is happening on the screen. Even in mobiles also you have that, right? So you can target for different media concepts. You can write this in a style element, or you can write this in a link tag also, right? When you are linking styles from external style sheet, you can write media. Actually, in real world projects, what happens is, for print media, they design separate styles. For screen media, they will define separate styles, and they link both style sheets there, both style sheets there. So, and while printing, it will use one style sheet. So while screen presentation, it will use another style sheet. You can do that by using a link option also. But don't get confused. This is not media query. Media query is different in CSS, which you will learn later. This is just a media attribute for styles, and how you configure the media attributes, and what are the options for media attributes. This is one simple example how we can configure and how we can define the media attributes. So this is, we created a HTML page, and we defined one media, one set of effects for screen, another set of effects for print. Actually, to reduce this coding and keep it more compact, the later, while after we finish CSS and Bootstrap and other options, we will learn about less and SAS. We will learn about less and SAS. That teaches you how to use this complex lengthy code, and shorten the lengthy code, and reuse the code without rewriting the code every time. That will help you in redesigning, because many times people immediately ask, sir, do I need to rewrite this again with some changes? Is there any possibility that I can call it and use it again and again? There is a possibility, but not directly in CSS. We have to use the concept called CSS pre-compilers. We have to use less and SAS like things we have to use, that you are going to learn once you finish discussing and working with the CSS. We will go into them and we will see that. So initially, this is not media query. This is just a media attribute. This is just a media attribute. How you define the media attribute? How do we configure the media attributes? Right. This is the basic approach. Right. So this is all about how do we write the styles, how do we configure the styles, how do we write the styles and use the styles, right? So first step, what you learned in CSS is how you can keep the styles in a page. You can keep in inline, you can keep embedded, you can keep in external style sheet, you can get it from CDN, and what is meant by minification, how you can handle the minifications and all. So I hope everyone is clear with that. Everyone is clear with this. Up to this part, everyone is clear. No doubts, right? Yes, good. Right. So, yes, good. So, have you tried minification also? Any one of you? Have you tried minification? So, have you tried minification? Good, right? Yeah. Actually, for minification, we can have some specialized tools installed. I will tell you about such tools in less and SAS. What those tools will do is, you just run a command. They will minify and generate a new file for you. For that, we need to install some packages extra. Right? As of now, you can try it by using online tools. As I showed you, CSS minifier. Yes, good. Right? So the main concept is just we need to understand how the CSS is compressed and integrated and used in our project. Okay. After understanding how we can integrate styles and all, now the next very important concept is so writing styles for elements, writing styles for elements. How do we write styles for elements? What is the key point? Actually, so if you are writing inline style for any element, for any element. Then generally what we do is, so we will write a div. We will just use a style attribute. Style attribute. This style attribute contains uh, attribute name. Means you can say that style property name. Style property name and its value. Style property name means color, background color, padding, margins, all this, and its value. If you want multiple, you can put a semicolon, another style property name, and you can put a value. You can put a value. That is how. Now, now the first question is, can you tell me for which element the current styles are going to apply? For which element current these styles are going to apply? For which element these styles are going to apply? The styles that you have written. Obviously div, am I right? Obviously div, cannot be maybe div, right? Why you say maybe? So are you not sure that it is not working for div? There should not be a question like maybe. Are you not sure that it is not working for div? You should be sure, right? Is it style defined for div? Right? Is it defined for style? Then it obviously it should work only for this div. Am I right, everyone? Right. Now, is there any option required to tell that to which element it should apply? Is there any requirement to tell that to which element it should apply? Is there any necessity to tell that to which element it should apply? No, we don't need that, right? Because you written for an element, it will work for that element only, right? I hope everyone is clear. There is no problem in this, right? Yeah. Now the problem comes is, when the problem comes is, if you are writing styles embedded or in external file, then your syntax will be little bit different. You are writing styles, so embedded or external file, then usually we use a style tag if it is embedded. If it is an external file, we will directly write the style. So in the style tag, we are writing a selector. In the style tag, we are writing a selector. We need a selector. So because in the style tag, we put a flower brace. And here we will write style property name and its value. Another style property name and its value. Now, can you tell me to which element these styles are going to apply? To which element the styles are going to apply? To which element these styles are going to apply? You have some set of styles. There is no particular element, am I right? There is no particular target mentioned. Am I right? There is no target mentioned. So that means these are not going to apply anywhere. There is no target mentioned. Then how you mention the target? So we mention the target by selector. We mention the target by selector. So actually selector is used to define the target. The target is used to define the target where the given styles need to apply. I hope everyone understood it. That means you need a selector. You need a selector to define the target where the given styles need to apply. So especially when you are writing the styles embedded or in an external file, selector is very important. I hope everyone understood that, right? Selector is very important. Selector is very important. So what is the purpose of selector? Selector defines the target where to apply the effects, defines the location where to apply the effects. That is what actually selector is. And Important is CSS can use various types of selectors. Can use various types of selectors. CSS can use various types of selectors. Selectors are classified depending on the situation and requirement. CSS can use various types of selectors. Actually, there are so many types of selectors, but the primary selectors, the primary, the primary, the primary selectors, the primary selectors used in styles. The primary selectors used in styles are the primary selectors. We have three. We have a type selector, we have an ID selector, and we have a class selector. These are the primary. Further, the selectors are classified into several more categories, but the primary are these three. What are the other categories? I will tell you. First, we need to understand the primary categories. What are the primary categories and how to define them? So the primary selectors used for styles are three. We have a type selector, we have an ID selector, and a class selector. First, we need to understand what these three are. Then we can understand the other types of selectors actually. So what are the primary selectors? So what is a type selector? Type selector is nothing but actually type selector refers to HTML tag name. HTML element tag name refers to HTML element tag name. So the given styles will be applied. The given styles will be applied to the given styles will be applied to specified tag. So wherever it occurs in page, or you can say that wherever it is used in page, it is used in page. That is one problem and advantage also. We will see that. Site type selector refers to HTML element tag name. I will show you. So let's keep a simple. You can write inline or embedded or style sheet here. Suppose we have heading 2. I will write here some heading 2. So this is HTML and some paragraph. It is a markup language, and we have heading 2. So this is CSS. So defines styles for HTML, and another heading. So JavaScript. So and so some handles, client side interactions. Okay, these are some basic points we written here. Now, once you are accessing this, you can see these are the headings and paragraphs we have. Now, I am writing a style. You can write embed or you can write in a separate style sheets. So the style we are configuring, and here we have some set of styles. So I said some background color. So, and this is red. And I said color as white, and said text align to center. Now here you written some set of styles, but you haven't mentioned where to apply. Now you have to tell where to apply these effects. You need a selector, and type selector actually indicates. Type selector directly refers to HTML element tag name, because you know that element name is different, element tag name is different. For example, element is image and its tag name is img. Element is bold, its tag name is b. I think already we discussed that element and tag are different, right? Tags are used to present these elements, right? And important is you have to use the tag name. Suppose I want to apply these for headings. So then what should I write at the selector place? Tell me. I want to apply for heading. So then what should I write here? I want to apply for heading. Then what should be the selector name? If it is a type selector, That means it should be H2. Now, what kind of selector I am using here? What kind of selector I am using here? Type selector. We are using a type selector. Now, what is good and bad about this? Good is wherever heading 2 is there, it will apply that effect. Bad is, so if I don't want heading to apply this, I don't want this style for JavaScript. If I don't want this for JavaScript, if I don't want this for JavaScript, then what? We cannot ignore it. I hope everyone understood this. That means wherever that type element occurs, wherever that type element occurs, wherever that type, currently we are discussing about type selector. Okay. So currently we are talking about type selector. So what is the problem with type selector? What is the problem with the type selector? The problem with type selector is nothing but, so it will apply effects to every occurrence of the tag in page, every occurrence of tag in the page. You cannot disable for any specific, you cannot disable for any specific, that is what actually the problem with the type selector. Later you will learn about so many groups and options, how to manage them. Currently we are concentrating only one point first, type selector, right? Suppose I want to apply for paragraphs. How do we apply for paragraphs? Just we need to write a P. That means these styles will be applied. For paragraphs. These styles are applied for paragraphs. Later I will tell you how to apply for multiple groups, child, parent, that comes under a second category. We will discuss later in various other stages how to deal with them. Initially the first option here is how you want to apply, how you want to configure, and how you want to apply, right? That is the key point, right? Let's see. Right. So you want to apply for heading, then you need to configure for heading. You want to apply for paragraph, you need to configure for paragraph, right? Later we will see various other options, how to combine them and use them. Lot of attributes and options will come. We will see that. I hope everyone is clear about the type selector. So clear about the type selector, right? Right. So what is a type selector and how do we define the type selector? And this is one example. I will keep that example here because it's not finished with one point. Lot of concepts are there. They will wire up one after another now. That is type selector. Okay. Then what is the solution for this type selector? How you can manage the problem with this actually? You can use an ID selector. Actually, every element can be defined with the ID. Every element can be defined with ID. You can use ID. You can use ID to access the element and apply effects. That means you can choose to which element you want the effects. That is what actually ID selector. But ID selector also have some problem. How ID selectors, I will tell you. Actually, element is defined with ID. That means we write like this. So div have an ID as suppose effects. Div have an ID called effects, and you configure the ID in style. You configure the ID in style area. You configure the style, or you can simply say that you can access the ID in styles. You can access the ID in styles. by using hash reference, by using an hash reference, by using an hash reference. That means how we can access that in the style. So we can put hash and we can add effects. That is the ID. For that effects, what you want to apply, you can configure them and you can define them in this way. This is an ID selector. For example, see, ID selectors are nothing but, here I am writing using hash heading. Okay, now you see that. So hash heading, and you can see here, they are not applied anywhere. I want that heading to apply for CSS. Then what we do is, I will go to that heading and I will call that ID. What is the ID? Heading. And you can see it is applied for that. I want to apply for the last paragraph. Then I will give an ID, heading. For the last paragraph also I am applying. You can apply to any element just by calling that ID and referring to that ID. That means you can call that ID and refer that ID. ID is defined with hash and ID is accessed by using ID. And you can apply here. It will apply for heading, it will apply for paragraph, anywhere you can apply. Just you have to call and apply. So what is advantage is you can choose to which element you want to apply. That is one advantage with this ID selector.
Hello.
So, but what is problem in this? What is the problem in this ID selector? The problem with ID selector is every tag can use only one ID reference. This is problem. Every tag can use only one ID reference. If you have configured multiple categories of styles with ID selector, and want to use for specific tag, then it is not possible. You cannot do that. I will show you that. What is problem of ID selector? Let's see what is problem with ID selector. The problem with ID selector is nothing but every tag can have only one ID and it can have only one ID reference only. That means now problem is, suppose I will remove this. Okay, I will remove this. Currently effects are removed and it is normal. Okay, when I write the styles, generally as a developer what we do is we classify the styles according to the behavior. For example, I am writing hash text effects. In text effects, I am writing text effects is one ID. Here I am writing align, text align as center, text align as center, and color as yellow. That is the text effects. Okay, I am writing another ID. So that is BG effects. So background effects, like I am writing. And here I said background color is red. That means now we have two types of effects. So that means we categorize, because I want to keep everything classified. Background effects separate, border effects separate, text effects separate. We want to keep everything organized. That is good also, because wherever you want to apply for text, you can use text effects. Wherever you want to apply for backgrounds, you can use background effects. It's good for classification. Now I want the background effect to apply for heading. Then I will use an ID BG effects. That is the ID. Now you can see that background is applied. I want to apply text effects also to the same heading. Remember, so you can use one ID, you can use one type selector. You can have a combination of all of them. It doesn't mean that all should be ID. One can be type selector, one can be ID selector, one can be class selector, like that. They can be different types. For one element, you can apply both. That order I will tell you how cascading will work, which one will override, which one will be given priority if you apply all of them. Those I will tell you in the next level, the priority orders, right? Initially, what is problem in this is I want to apply text effects also. Then if you want to apply text effects, I am trying to write another ID. So say text effects text effects I am writing here. And you can see that it is not possible to use it. It's not working. Okay, under this ID only, under one ID only, I am using a comma and say text effects. Means two IDs I am trying to apply for one option. It's not working. I will use some space to try. So you can see that that is not working. That's not working. That means it will not allow. So this is the problem with ID. That is the problem with ID. ID is good, you can choose. But the problem with ID is you cannot apply multiple. You cannot apply multiple. That is the problem with ID selector. Initially, suppose I just defined ID is text effects. Text effects. Only text effects will apply for HTML. So for this ID, I'm using BG effects. So this is applied only for background effects are applied here. Both you want to apply for one element, it's not possible to do so. ID selector will not allow to do so. So this is what actually the problem in ID selector. If you have configured multiple categories of styles with ID selector and want to use for specific tag, then it is not possible to use to define all effects, all effects to one element. It is not possible to define all effects to one element. That is what actually the problem, and that is what actually the issue with this selector. That is an ID selector. What is the problem and what is the issue with the ID selector? Then what you can do is you can try a class selector. You can try a class selector. Class selector. What is class selector? Actually, the concept of class selector is nothing but a class selector. Selector is defined by using dot, and a class is accessed and applied to element by using class attribute. And one of the main advantages is every tag can implement multiple classes. That is good. Every element can implement multiple classes. It is possible to implement multiple classes. So this will solve the problem that you are facing. Multiple classes you can apply. That means I will remove this now. And here, so back text effects, I given a dot. Classes are defined with dot. And these are two classes now. And I want to apply that class to the heading one, then first heading. So for first heading, I am using the class keyword and I am applying, so BG effects. And you can see that the background effects are applied. I want to apply the text effects, then space, we have to define text effects. So just space and both effects are applied now. So now class selector allows to configure multiple for you. It depends on your requirement. That means multiple classes. So multiple classes are specified. Multiple classes are specified with space. That means what you can do is syntactically, so style. So syntactically we can configure dot, then CSS class name, and we can define some set of attributes. And how we apply them? For a div, we can put a class as the CSS class name, and this is CSS class name 1, another CSS class name 2. You can add multiple classes. Right? We can configure multiple classes and we can define multiple classes. So it depending on the situation, that means nobody can ask like which one is best, right? Which one is best? There is nothing like which one is best, because in different occasions we need different. Like I want sometimes, for suppose we are writing for body. For body everywhere I want a uniform font. Then obviously I will not write a class and apply a class to the body. I will simply write a type selector, because wherever body comes it will apply. I want all paragraphs in a same way, then obviously I will write a type selector. I will not use an ID or class selector. If I have to choose between any one specific, then I will go with the other options. I will go with the other options and configure the other options. And if you are dealing with multiple, then we can use the class and configure the class, define and configuring the class. It depends on situation. There is nothing like which one is best, because generally when you write the styles, all the methods are used according to the requirements. Actually, in one style sheet, you can have all of them. So in one style sheet, generally there will be all of them, right? One class selector will be there, few ID selectors will be there, few type selectors are there, right? That depends on the requirement, configurations, right? We need to define. These are the primary selectors. That means we have an ID, we have a class, we have a type. These are the primary. Actually, the CSS selectors are further classified into various groups. Actually, into various groups. The CSS selectors are classified further into various groups. What are the different groups we are having? Actually, they are classified into various groups based on behavior. Based on behavior, they are categorized into different groups. Actually, we have selectors like combinators. We have selectors like combinators, or you say as rational selectors. We have rational selectors. Combinators or rational selectors. We have attribute selectors. We have pseudo selectors. We have pseudo selectors. We have structural pseudo selectors. Structural pseudo selectors. We have different types of selectors. So we have combinators, we have attribute selectors, we have pseudo selectors, we have structural pseudo selectors. Selectors are further classified into several. What are these different types of selectors? So how we can manage these type of selectors? That's what we have to learn. Let's see what these are actually. So first we will see what are rational selectors. Rational selectors, or rational or combinators. So what are rational selectors? What are combinators? Let's take a look about that first. Actually, rational selectors or combinators are nothing but they are based on parent and child hierarchy, as well as the relationship with other elements. So that means these selectors deal with parent and child elements. These will deal with parent and child elements, as well as with elements, as well as with elements. So elements, yeah, as well as with elements, so that have a relationship with each other, as well as the elements. So as well as the elements which have relationship. So that means as well as the elements that have relation. Relation means actually without parent-child hierarchy also they can have a relation. Relation like adjacent. Adjacent is a relation like below, relation like above. So relation like so before, relation like after, relation like first, you can say last, like this. So many types of relations can be there. There can be relations, there can be various types of relations. So many will be there. So that means it can be relations. So what is that? We will see. We will discuss about that. There are various options also. So technically, rational selectors or combinators. What are the various rational selectors and combinators, and how do we use these rational selectors and combinators? Let's take a look. So many rational selectors and combinators are there. One by one, we will see and explore those with examples. Like we will have a selector and we have a description. description. Okay. So selector and description. How do we configure the selector and description? Let's see the first point. So the first point is uh, so many are there. One by one, we will go into that. We will see what is a descendant selector. Descendant selector. We have descendant selector. We have a descendant selector. In the rational selectors, descendant selector. Actually, descendant selector targets all tags under specified parent. It includes at any level of hierarchy. Descendant means it targets all tags under specified parent. It includes any level hierarchy. It includes any level hierarchy. That means it is a first occurrence, second occurrence, third occurrence. At any level hierarchy, it is going to apply. It is going to define. At any level hierarchy, it is going to configure and specify them. That is what descendant selector is. Targets under specified parent. So targets under specified parent and defines under specified parent. So let's see, means how it is going to manage and handle this with some example, how it is going to handle these combinators. Let's see one example. That means all tags under specified parent. That means, for example, I will keep the styles in this way. Suppose we have a heading. So, and the heading I will just keep as some web technologies. Okay, under this we will create some order list, and we have a list item. So list item, and we have the list items like HTML, and under that HTML, list item, we will create another order list that is having list item as void elements. So it is having list item like normal elements. This is a multi-level hierarchy elements. So we have these options. And similarly, suppose we have another option like CSS. Yes, under that CSS, we have CSS. Okay, that is, and under that there can be several, and a list item, and there can be some JavaScript like this we option have. That is one option here. Okay, this is order list with a collection of list items. Under that we have a child one also. Okay, let's create a block quote here. Suppose I created a block quote and I am writing. So this is some block quote. Block quote is general word, block quote. So block quote is general. That is some block quote, some paragraph of content is there inside the block quote. Okay, and after that, so here I am adding some paragraphs. So that means let's keep this block quote in a more option better way is a div. We will keep a div in a block quote. We have paragraph. And I defined as some para1. I configured that as para1. Okay, now I want to apply the effects. And here how you are defining the effects. Suppose I want to apply effects for all list items in ordered list. What is a descendant selector? Descendant selector, that means it defines the parent element. It defines the parent element and the child element. So by using parent element and child element, by using space, by using space, it defines the parent element and the child element by using space. That means syntactically how you define it is nothing but we have parent element, and space we have the child element, and we define the effects. What are the effects you want? Remember, this parent element, child element is nothing but it can refer to type, it can refer to ID, it can refer to class. not only type selector, you can refer not only element, you can refer that, you can simply say like this. That means you can say that this is the parent selector and this is the child selector. But actually, first to understand descendant, we need to know the parent and child hierarchy first. Okay. And you can define the effects. That means, see here, I want to apply for all list items in ordered list. In that case, we will write OL, ordered list, space LI. This indicates that it will apply for all list items inside the ordered list. That means it can be at any level, first level, second level, third level, any level, ordered list items. I will put a color as red, then it will apply the red color. And you can see that it will apply the red color for all of them. It will apply the red color for all of them. Now I want to apply for a paragraph. I want to apply for paragraph in a div. I want to apply paragraph in a div. Then I will just use div and P. And here I am applying the color as green. I am applying the color as green, div and paragraph. And you can see here the paragraph is applied with the green. But important here is you need to know that this paragraph is outside the div. So this is para 2 and we have para 1. So that means para 1. So we have two paragraphs. One is inside, one is outside. Then you can see that it is applied for only inside, not outside. That means it is not going to apply for every paragraph. It is going to apply only the paragraph which is present inside the div. Inside the div. So inside the div, there may be several paragraphs. Suppose I have another paragraph. So para 2, and this is actually para 3, which is outside. And you can see that it is going to apply, it is applying, so first para 1 and 2, not for 3. So descendant selector is nothing but descendant selector is going to apply for any level by using a parent and child hierarchy. For any level by using a parent and child hierarchy. That means if it is the parent and under that there is some child elements, there are some child elements, it will apply to all the child elements in the hierarchy. That means all list items in order list, all paragraphs in this particular div. It will not touch the list items if it is in unordered list. Suppose you have unordered list, in that list items we have there, it will not touch that. It will touch only the list items when they are in ordered list. It will touch only the paragraphs if they are in a div, right? That is what actually, so the selector called descendant selector. We call this as descendant selector. It will apply only for the descendant. Now here it is, so for example, there might be multiple levels actually. So that means now the list items when you are configuring, when you are defining the list items, when you are specifying the list items, if you are applying for multiple, that means actually you need to understand that any level, that means I keep, suppose inside this div, now inside this div, so the second paragraph is kept in another div, then you can see that, so for that paragraph also it is applied. That means wherever at multi-level, because you are defining at the parent, it will apply at multi-level. It will apply at the multi-level. That is what actually the concept here. So how it is going to handle it. So this is at any level it will apply. That is what actually descendant selector. So example for descendant selector is this. At any level it will apply. At any level wherever it is present it will apply. It will apply. That is descendant selector. So we have another selector called child selector. Child selector. What is difference between descendant and child selector is, child selector will apply effects only to direct child of parent element. Only to the direct child of parent element, not something so in between. It will not apply so something in between. It will apply to the direct child. What is that? I will show you. That means it is going to apply effect. It applies effects. It applies effects only to the direct child of parent element. What is meant by direct child of parent element? That is what actually child selector is. Direct child, how you can define that? Actually, we have to define this child selector like this. We have to define a parent and greater than child. Like this, you have to define this symbol. That means it will apply to the direct child. What is meant by direct child? Let's see that point. To understand the direct child, suppose I am writing some paragraphs here. So to show you how they are configured. So direct child, how it is going to use it. Suppose I have a div. In that we have a paragraph, that is para 1. So that means we are configuring a paragraph para 1. So another div, we are having another div. In that we have a span. In that span we have paragraph. So that is para 2. That means now I am applying here the effects. I am applying the effects here. So wherever div and paragraph is there, I want to put the color as red. I want to keep the color as red. So wherever that div paragraph is there. This is descendant selector. Now you know what it is going to apply here. For every paragraph, you can see both paragraphs are applied. But para 2 is not direct child of div, because it is present in a span inside the div. If I use this greater than symbol, if I give this greater than symbol, you see it will apply only for the direct child, not to others. Direct child, not to the others. Direct child means it will be applied only for first one, because first one is the direct child and second one is not direct child. It is present in some other element. If you want to apply for all of them, then you can simply use a descendant selector. If you are using a child selector, it will apply only to the direct child. It will not apply to all of them. Child selector will apply only to direct child. And descendant selector to apply to all the childs at any level hierarchy, it will apply. I hope everyone is clear with that. You got a clarity on descendant and child, am I right? Descendant means with the space and it will apply everywhere, right? Child selector means it will apply only one when it is the direct child, not under any another element, am I right? Right? These are the options that you need to understand. So what is the child selector and what is the direct option? I hope everyone is clear with this. Right. Now we have the other selectors. We have an adjacent selector. We have a general sibling, adjacent sibling, so general sibling, and various other types of selectors that we will see in our next session. Tomorrow we will continue with this. At least for 2 sessions, we have to work on selectors only. Tomorrow entire session and will be on selectors only, because so many are there with lot of examples we have to see to understand clear. Right? Tomorrow we'll continue with these selectors, right? Okay. New Angular batch we are going to start in a few days, right? In 1 week, 10 days, a new Angular batch is going to start mostly. In 1 to 2 weeks, a new Angular batch will start, right? Yeah.